Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Eloise, and if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. So today I wanted to talk about some fragrances that have gotten a lot of attention, that have been hyped and super hyped, and I thought it would be fun to make a video and share my thoughts and opinions on whether some of these fragrances are worth the hype or not. So let's dive in. So the first one is from the house of BDK Rouge Smoking, a cherry fragrance. So what I get from Rouge Smoking, a delicate, powdery, vanillic fragrance. It's not overly sweet, it's slightly nutty, but I'm really not getting the cherry that I expect to get from a cherry fragrance. I've tested all of these fragrances, including Rouge Smoking, on my skin. And on my skin, this just falls flat. It falls flat and it's just a powdery, sweet, ordinary vanillic type fragrance. I know there's a cherry note in here. I know there's at least a floral note. There's heliotrope that comes off powdery and almost like almondy in fragrances. That's probably what's giving this the powderiness and that slight nutty note. There's tonka bean. So there's sweetness, it's soft. Like a lot of the BDK fragrances, I think they're all sort of soft with the exception of the extrait versions. So this is not the cherry fragrance that I was expecting. It just fell flat. A lot of people describe this smelling as root beer or like a cherry cola. Yeah, not really impressed. So Rouge Smoking, I'm sorry, not worth the hype. So the next one is also from BDK, Velvet Tonka. Super hyped, super popular fragrance. Velvet Tonka is pretty. I think it's really, really pretty. Also powdery, more vanillic, creamier. There's something I really like about this, and I think it's the Tonka. So there's orange blossom, almond, which I love in fragrances. I love almond fragrances or nutty fragrances. So the almond is really nice here. There's tonka bean, vanilla. There's a tobacco note. I don't detect any note of tobacco. This is very light, powdery, angelic. It's cozy, it's creamy. It's really, really pretty. I like this. I just wish the longevity was better. I was on the fence about a full bottle because of the longevity. It's a little too soft. I wish it had like more oomph and more lasting power and was a little stronger. We need an extrait version of this. So I compromised and went for the travel size. So I think I'll enjoy this and then decide and see, maybe they'll come out with an extrait version. So BDK's Velvet Tonka, in terms of fragrance, yes, it's worth the hype. If you're liking a vanillic tonka bean fragrance that's soft and powdery. So this actually reminds me of a body spray that I was crazy about when I was like 13, called Love's Baby Soft. This pink little bottle, Love's Baby Soft. I can't get past that association, but it's not bad. But that's not a bad association. It's very powdery, it's very pretty. So BDK, Velvet Tonka, yes, worth the hype, but we need better longevity. The next one I want to talk about is Liquid Gold by Liquide Imaginaires. So this got a lot of hype. A lot of people were talking about this one. So, what do I say? No, I'm just not a fan of the opening of this fragrance. It's too heady. It smells like a bunch of like flowers, but not in a pretty way, with saffron and patchouli. This is just not a fragrance for me. So there's orange flower in here. I know there's patchouli, there's saffron. I detect the saffron. I don't like the way it's blended with the floral notes. It doesn't work for me. And I think there's jasmine in here, but this is more about the orange flower. And I will say, I've tested this on skin as well. The dry down does improve a bit, but it's still not for me. I don't like the saffron and the way it's coming off in this fragrance. And I'm a fan of saffron in fragrances. It's too heady and the saffron and patchouli is not blending very well. So this is a no for me, not worth the hype. Liquid Gold by Liquide Imaginaires. So the next one is also by Liquide Imaginaires, Blancbet, which is a lactonic floral fragrance. And this got a ton of hype. A lot of people like this. And instead of getting a sample, I went right to a decant because I liked the way the notes sounded and the reviews on this fragrance. So it opens up very fresh, fluffy, white, ethereal. lactonic, slightly floral. It is very cozy, it is very pretty, but I will say, I'm glad I didn't get a full bottle of this, because while I do think that it's pretty and it is cozy and I love lactonic fragrances, there's a note in here that doesn't work for me. So when this dries down, I'm detecting something like a hairspray. And so that's the only part of this fragrance that's a little tough for me. I do like it, it's pretty. I don't hate it. But is it worth the hype? For me, sadly, it's not. So I do have this and I will enjoy it, but it's not something that I'm crazy about reaching for or wearing. There are other lactonic fragrances that I like much more. So yeah, this one didn't quite work for me. Liquide Imaginaires Blancbet. So the next fragrance is from the house of Matiere Premier, Santal Austral. So this is a sandalwood fragrance. This is absolutely stunning. I love this. I really love this. I'm really picky with sandalwood fragrances. This is one of the creamiest, coziest sandalwood fragrances I've ever smelled. I really, really like this. Very well done. I'm actually a big fan of the Matiere Premier fragrances, so I will make a video talking about all the fragrances that I own from Matiere Premier. But back to Santal Austral. Absolutely magnificent, creamy sandalwood. It gives me such a cozy vibe. I imagine wearing a white cashmere sweater, cozying up in cold weather near the fireplace. I really, really like this. It's described on the Matiere Premier's website as a sensual white wood. I think this has Australian sandalwood oil, and it states on the website that Santal Austral focuses on the creamy, velvety facets of iris and almond milk. So there's the powderiness from the iris, which is probably what I'm loving about this. I love iris in fragrances. And I also like lactonic notes in fragrances. So the almond milk is giving this a creamy vibe. So you have powderiness, the sandalwood, the creaminess from the almond milk. This is beautiful. So the founder and creator of Matiere Premier is Aurélien Guichard. And I have to say that I love almost every fragrance that I've put my nose to. So spoiler alert, I own Santal Austral, full 3.4 ounce bottle. I also own Parisian Musk, Encens Suave. I have French Flower on the way and a sample of vanilla powder also on the way. So I'm really enjoying the House of Matiere Premier. Amazing fragrances, beautiful minimalistic bottles, amazing. And I have to say that the longevity of this fragrance is excellent. This is on my skin all day, great longevity, great performance. It does project in the first few hours, but it's not a loud fragrance that's going to offend anyone around you. It's just a beautiful, creamy sandalwood fragrance. So is Santal Austral worth the hype? Absolutely yes. So the next one that I want to talk about is Rosendo Mateu's number 5. So this is hyped, but at the same time, I know that this is very polarizing. There are the people that absolutely love it, and then there are the people that say they detect like a burnt rubber or a plastic doll. I love this. And it amazes me how much this reminds me of Yves Saint Laurent's Baby Cat, while the notes absolutely don't match. So Yves Saint Laurent is a peppery saffron leather vanilla fragrance. In here, there's Lily of the Valley, there's saffron. In the mid, there's spicy carnation, Lily of the Valley again, for an oriental floral note. And then at the base, there's amber musk and vanilla. So I don't get too much of the floral notes in this fragrance. So what you have is the vanilla and the saffron translates to a leathery note, which might be what others are calling a burnt rubber. I'm not sure. To me, the saffron is just coming off like a leather note, the way it does in Baby Cat. So I don't really pick up on the floral notes in here. So maybe the floral notes in the background are not detectable, but they're responsible for keeping this a little light and airy. So I mostly get a vanilla saffron. So although I really like the way this fragrance smells and I really enjoy it, I wish it had more depth. It's a little translucent, it's a little light. So while the notes translate to heavy notes like leather or vanilla, it retains this translucent, airy lightness to it. So I think that's what keeps me from reaching for this one. If I'm in the mood for leather vanilla fragrance, I tend to reach for the Baby Cat, and I'm not reaching for this one. So is it worth the hype? I think so. I like the way this smells. I just wish that it wasn't so airy and translucent, but I do love how it smells. But the good news is that I heard they're coming out with an extrait version of Rosendo Mateu's number 5. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to get my nose on that. Yeah, so Rosendo Mateu's number 5, worth the hype. So I saved the best for last, Amouage Guidance. I don't have a bottle. I have 2 testers that I've been playing around with and testing for months, and I'm on the fence. I got it on my hand. Wow, this fragrance. I get a blast of incense. The pear comes through. I love nutty notes and fragrances. There's hazelnut in here. There's a host of notes in this fragrance. It is very beautiful. It really is. It's powdery. There's sweetness. It's unique. On Fragrantica, it says that there is olibanum, hazelnuts, pear, osmanthus, rose, saffron, jasmine, sandalwood, vanilla, akigalawood, and labdanum. And in terms of what this smells like at the opening and in the mid, yes, it's worth the hype. It really is a pretty fragrance. I like it, but there's something about it that's coming off synthetic, almost like the smell of makeup, and I'm having an issue with the dry down. It smells almost like a hairspray to me. So while a part of me really likes this and wants to love it, it's long lasting, it's a powerful, long-lasting fragrance, which I love. I love the note of hazelnut. There's a part of me that just can't get past the dry down. So I have the 2 samples. I'm going to continue to play around and sample and see and revisit. Sometimes it's a slow burn. Sometimes a fragrance grows on you. Sometimes it's a no at the outset. And sometimes I'm on the fence and it's a slow burn and I end up loving it and wanting a full bottle. So is it worth the hype? Guidance, Amouage? I'm not sure. I do have a sample of 46 on the way. It was recommended by a few people on YouTube, so we'll see how that works out. So that's all for today. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my opinions and my input about these hyped fragrances, some of which turned into full bottles for me, and some which just did not work for me. I'll see you again next time. Bye, guys.